You ready to do this thing?
Oh, I was born ready.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh,
All right.
You recording?
Yeah, I'm already recording.
You're the man. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what we're drinking?
Ooh, drinking a little Firehouse Coffee Roasters. Delicious. See that? Like that. This is some of the best coffee I've had. Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Like ever?
Ever.
It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, you want to try something tonight, actually?
Tell me.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You want to try it and not swear?
Yes. That's cool.
So this
I
is...
can do
Oh, so... this is the Jody Mitic podcast, episode... Cinco?
Sanko.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah. See.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Oui.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. I say 5 in German.
I have no idea.
That's when I stopped listening in high school.
Right. Yeah.
Right at number 4.
Duh.
Zank? No. Zet? No.
Even if you said it, I would have no idea. I've spent a total of, I think, 11 hours in Germany.
Yeah.
And
I've got a lot of relatives
didn't pick
in
anything
Germany.
up. That's right.
My
That's
dad's
true.
half German.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, Firehouse.
Firehouse.
Spelled in the German way.
Yeah.
I believe that is the German.
I think so.
Firehouse Coffee brought to you by a local first responder firefighter. We can't give you his name. We can't give you his website because he doesn't have one. We can't give you his Twitter handle. Dog, step your game up. But we can tell you that he has a Facebook page where... Does he take orders on Facebook?
Yeah. If you message him there, and his name is Glenn, if you message him there on the Firehouse Coffee Roasters Facebook page, then he'll be able to put your order together. And every time he has a new roast up, he posts it there. He'll say roasted today. These 3 blends.
Okay, yeah, but Glenn, seriously, dog, I need
Twitter.
you to up your social media game
Social.
and do me a favor and have like an order page so I can just click and ship
Every day.
because I'm still waiting on my 18 pounds of espresso.
Just another truckload being dropped
No,
off.
but I
at the
said,
house.
dude, send me 18 pounds.
Yeah.
Did I not put an order in?
He must be busy roasting. He's doing it right
Touche,
now.
touche.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta wonder. You know how they say never get high on your own supply?
Yes.
And we saw what happened to Scarface.
Yes.
And we've seen what happens to all them Mexican and Colombian drug pimps.
True.
You think Glenn is just like up 72 hours at a time, just like drinking espresso and roasting coffee beans whenever it comes in?
100% true.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. Well, this guy loves the coffee.
I love the coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, seriously, for reals, Glenn, don't blow your heart out.
Yes, true.
Roast all that coffee.
Yep.
If you need any help, give me a call. I won't help you, but I could find somebody that would.
Sure. You can
And
contract it out.
and yo, man, I need you to get like some way that the folks can get a hold of you besides the Facebook page. But other than that, coffee's dope.
Oh yeah.
All right. As usual as well, we're at Greco Orleans, this awesome place. And I just took my Nutrimind. Did you take some?
Yeah.
This is the last bottle in existence.
The last one.
It's getting a little empty.
It is. I'm nervous.
I'm keeping this.
Yeah.
Don't come near me.
Hey.
Don't come near me. This is mine.
Hey, come on, bro.
Hey, step back.
Hey,
Let's take a step back from the bottle of Nutrimind. I feel like there's about 25 capsules left in here. Nutrimind is an advanced nootropic, which I love. It makes me feel better. I was traveling a lot this weekend and earlier in the week, so a couple Nutrimind sorts me right out. It was, manufactured right here in Ottawa, but they just don't know if they want to sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I feel like they would make plenty of money.
Well,
Might be all my money.
might be all your money. Yes.
But they'd make it.
I would bet that it is.
So let's get on with the show.
Let's do this.
Jody Mitic podcast number 5.
Thanks.
Oh, man. See, I feel like we should have thrown a little party.
Yeah.
Well, what do they say? It's 21 days to develop a new habit.
Yeah.
And so we're way beyond 21 days.
Right. Yeah.
Or is it 21 times?
Well,
Should we wait till the 21st podcast?
maybe. I
What would
think
that
so.
be? That'd be like
That would be 21
another
weeks.
3 months?
Because we've done one every week, right? So
Trying.
yeah.
We might have to take next week off, though.
Well,
No, wait. Not next week.
we're going to have to figure that out. Mid-July.
We're going to have to figure out a way to do like 2 or 3 real quick in a row.
Yeah.
So we don't leave our listeners hanging. I don't know. I'm getting tweets from our... We're over 4,000?
Yeah. Yeah. We're over 4,400 downloads.
That's amazing. Well, guys, since things are rolling real well, actually, I'll give you a little update. We are going to get a little website going. We're going to start our own Facebook page. We're going to do a little bit of, I don't know, do we do a Jody Mitic podcast Twitter, or do we just leave my Twitter?
I don't think necessarily that we should divide it up anymore.
Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yeah. I think
Facebook
so.
page and a website, and the rest is just us.
I think that'll do it.
And then if we get like Joe Rogan big, we'll hire some kid to do like the Jody Mitic podcast Twitter and Instagram.
Definitely.
Or maybe we have an Instagram that we both do pictures for, but it's
Yep.
for the podcast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, so I was thinking too, and the listeners can chime in on the tweets and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and whatever. You want to do something maybe like because your handle in the social media is Coach Luke Rowan, right?
Correct.
And I know we'd be biting on hockey legend Don Cherry a little bit, but do you want to do something maybe called like Coach's Corner or something,
I'm game.
where you can feed the masses your knowledge and get them to step their game up?
Absolutely.
If they feel like they're slipping, they could just email or tweet you a question or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd
I think
be
that'd
great.
be pretty cool.
Especially
Especially, okay, so if we have a Facebook, when we get the Facebook page up, why don't we start that?
Sounds good. I can start it right now.
Well, we don't have any questions. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to do
Oh,
it.
you mean have it all like question based?
Well, yeah, or prepared. Look, I'm
Yeah.
just throwing this out there. I'm not ready for you to just throw down on Coach's Corner.
All right.
Okay?
Sure.
I'm just saying, like.
Sure.
So I had a pretty busy week.
Tell me about it.
You want to know why I was a little late?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, you know how I bought that Jeep, my Jeep Wrangler, which I love, love, love?
Yep. Jeep Life.
I've had the doors blown off since it was like warm enough to not have to wear a parka.
Yep.
Took the roof off, and so the roof has not enough instructions and way too many parts, but it's still a roof that you can leave on with the doors off. And, so when you're cruising around in the sun, you're not getting beat on by the sun the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. And so the back window, which is plastic and zips in,
Yep.
like the very back window, it's never really fit properly.
Right.
And so I've always had it like, I don't know, like a third unzipped because the zipper won't go all the way. So then last week, you know how there's the male and female parts of the zipper?
Yep.
So the male piece broke.
Right.
So I can't put it in. So I take it to Jeep this morning. It needed an oil change and all that anyway.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I need that fixed or replaced. So I'm at City Hall doing my thing. I'm at the Transit Commission. We're hearing about all the increases to the transit fees and the new routes waiting in time for the LRT to go in 2018. And I get a call, so I step out of the meeting because I'm not actually on the committee. I'm just like there to watch and listen.
Okay.
And it's the dude from Jeep, and he's this old French guy. And he's like, "Hey, yeah, so the Jeep doesn't warranty that part there." And I'm like, "What? It's a brand new. It's not even 6 months old."
Right. Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, well, I'm going to stop doing his accent," but he's like, "Yeah, so we've never had one of these returned ever."
Right.
I'm like, "Uh-huh." I'm like waiting for the
And then
for the reason for this whole warranty. He's like, "Yeah, so Jeep, apparently it doesn't warranty this part." And I'm like, "Uh-huh." I'm waiting for you to tell me why this is my problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's like 3 seconds goes by, 5 seconds goes. He's like, "So what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, you can help out your customer,
Yes.
or I'll take it up with Jeep myself,
Right.
and you can figure out what happens next time I need a new car."
Yeah. For sure.
And
Hey, man.
So anyway, he called me back in the afternoon. He's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. You come back Monday, I'll take your roof and I'll take it to a guy and he should be able to fix it, no problem.
Right.
I'm like, on us. I'm like, hey,
There we go.
all right,
Yeah.
there we go.
Success.
Yeah, but I'm like, I feel for him because they sell it. I assume they assume. Of course, Jeep's going to warranty the whole car for 3 years.
Right.
Right? Because that's what most warranties are.
Pretty standard.
Bumper to bumper.
Yep.
And we're not talking about an insignificant thing here.
Right. This is not a piece of rubber on the wiper blade.
Well, if this zipper doesn't work, the whole back of the Jeep, even if I want to close it down, is wide open.
Right.
And I think we talked about what happened when I left the roof off when I went away on the trip. And it was pouring rain.
We didn't talk about it, but
Did
I
we
saw
not talk
the
about
picture of it. No, we didn't talk about it.
Where I got back from New Jersey after I was shooting sharks and causing internet uproars.
No.
And there was like a lake in the floor of my Jeep.
We didn't talk about the
You didn't
Jeep.
talk about
I'm
that?
pretty sure we didn't. No.
Oh, hey, anybody listening, go ahead and go to my Instagram and you can watch a little video of my daughter pushing a little boat around the floor of my Jeep.
What? Like there was several inches of water in there. Yeah.
To the brim.
Yeah.
On the floorboards.
As much as it could
it was
handle.
dope.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like my wife, I called home. Like, yeah, I'm getting on the plane. It's pouring rain here in Jersey. What's it like there? And she's like, oh, it's pouring rain. And I was like, I forgot to put my roof up before I left. Did you happen to do it? And she was like, oh no. And I'm like, she's busy with the kids, dogs, all that. I didn't expect her to. I just thought maybe she would have saw it. And she's like, Jody, I didn't, oh no. She like, I hear her like running through the house and she like runs out the front door because it's still raining.
Yeah.
And she's like, Jody, it's pouring rain into your Jeep. And I'm like, what? Yeah, okay, cool. Don't worry about it.
Totally
it's a
fine.
Jeep.
It's
I
made for
wasn't
that.
really
It's made
that
for that.
worried about it. I didn't want her to get all upset that she didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then, but in my head, I'm like, I mean, it'll be fine, right?
Sure, of course.
It's a Jeep.
The Jeeps love the
They
water.
must consider these things,
Yes.
right? I
hope so.
wasn't sure what to think. Everything's fine. I came home. There's floor plugs,
Right.
right? You just pull up the floor plugs. I got some advice on Facebook or Twitter or wherever I got it. Pull out the carpet and spray that Line-X.
Okay.
Ever seen that for pickup truck beds?
Right. Yeah.
I think you can buy like a generic version at Canadian Tire even out of a spray can.
Right.
Oh. Pardon me. And so now I'm looking around to see who's going to do, because I'm never getting rid of that Jeep
Right.
ever.
No.
Like until
Love
I get
it.
my next Jeep.
Right. Of course.
I should have bought a Jeep Wrangler in 1995
Okay.
when I started
Ooh.
buying my own cars.
Right. Yeah. You
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it that much.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm glad I waited till it was 4-door, but I think they've been 4-door for about 10 years now,
Right. Okay.
roughly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, greatest vehicle ever in my opinion. The only thing that would be like, I saw a Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 yesterday
Okay.
when I got home. Alana and I stopped at the Chinese food place Bamboo off Hunt Club. You ever been there?
No.
Anyone, if you're coming to Ottawa, it's not even exactly like a touristy spot, but this Asian food place called Bamboo. It's right near the airport. Highly recommend it.
Super tasty down there.
Well, they make Cantonese chow mein,
Okay.
but they use the only thing I have them take out of it is the squid and the shrimp.
Right.
Because we talked about me and seafood, right?
Yes.
So I just get them to put a little more chicken and pork in,
Right on.
and they put in the baby bok choy or something like that.
Yeah. Baby bok choy.
I don't know. I think Chinese. They call it like Chinese
Cabbage. Yep.
I don't mind that. Like I'm not. You know me. I'm not a vegetable guy, so I don't eat all of it, but I eat like some of it.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, it's like the only thing I ever get when I go there.
Bamboo. Have to
And
try
their
it out.
fried rice is actually really good too.
Okay.
Why was I talking about that? Oh, so there is a Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 brand new in the parking lot.
Right. I haven't
And
seen it.
you know what a Jeep Grand Cherokee looks like.
Yep.
it's that, except it's, it looks like it could do a lap around the Nürburgring
Okay, all fancy
in about
up.
8 seconds.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's got
right
big
on.
ass tires. It's got the big V8. It's about 500 horsepower.
Okay, that's
All-wheel
enough.
drive, Brembo brakes, racing seats, the racing steering wheel. Basically awesome.
Okay, cool.
But it's an SUV.
yeah, neat.
And yeah, so I think that might be my next vehicle.
Put on the list.
But it's that or the Dodge Charger SRT8.
Okay.
But with me and cars and the prosthetics,
No.
I mean,
bueno.
I can do it, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, for sure.
That's all. And we talked about the next dog I'm getting, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so I feel like when you have a dog, you should have a Jeep. Or at least an SUV.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my little adventure with Jeep today. Great car, just, I don't know, the company itself maybe needs a little bit of a shake.
And I mean, like, I think anyone you talk to of any of the companies that they go to for a vehicle, you're going to find somebody who's had a less than awesome experience.
Touche.
Right? Yep.
I've owned all of the big three.
Right.
Yeah, I've owned all of the big three. I've owned Nissan, and that's about it.
Okay.
But I've had about 12 pickup trucks in my life.
Right.
The only one I haven't owned, because I had a bunch of Silverados. I had an 87 Dodge Ram. That was my first truck. I had a Ford Ranger. I haven't had a Ford F-150.
I want one of those.
I had the Chevy Canyon.
Right. Yeah.
I had one of those. And then I had another Silverado. And then I had another Dodge Ram, but an 85 with a slant 6, and that thing was awesome. It was a short box. Oh, I'm so
Right
mad
on.
my dad sold it on me when I was in Afghanistan.
Yikes.
I come back, he's like, yeah, the engine block was cracked. I'm like, yeah,
Huh?
but it was a awesome, dope truck with no rust on it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Actually, I didn't even remember that I had owned the truck for a couple months after I got home because I was all high on painkillers
Right,
and
yeah.
worried about my legs more than anything.
You weren't.
And then
You
one
weren't
day I just
concerned
kind
about
of
driving.
clued in. I was like, "But hey, Dad,
Wait a minute.
where's that old Dodge Ram of mine that I had?" And he's like, "Oh, I just sold it to a guy." I don't know. Dad and cars. He just loves selling cars.
Okay.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
but yeah. What do you want to talk about?
You just got back from St. John's, did you not? The other day?
Yeah, I was at what's called the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion Convention, and they do it every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, the Royal Canadian Legion is originally it was a advocacy group, stood up in 1926, and amalgamated, I believe, a dozen other groups that had come to pass after World War I because of how many veterans were coming home.
Right.
And they were realizing that as every government in history, they were kind of screwing over their soldiers.
Right.
Like there was riots in Europe where there was plenty of money to get the troops to the battlefield, but once peace was declared, suddenly they're just, I know it took us like 3 weeks from the time you signed up to get you into France with a rifle in your hand shooting at Germans.
Right.
But now that the war is over, it's probably going to be about 4 years before we can get you home to your families.
Right. Yeah, that process is much longer.
Yeah. I think it was like, because the war ended in 1918, right? Around the end of 1919,
Right.
there was still like 50,000 troops in these camps, temporary
No way.
camps.
Really?
Yeah. Don't quote Jody Mitic on this. Jody is no historical expert, but
Right.
we're talking it was way past let's go home time.
Yeah.
And the troops, patiently waiting, most of them drafted, so didn't want to be there in the first place.
Awful.
And they were starting to riot.
Yeah.
And they're starting to maraud through the countryside, being like, well, all right, you don't want to send us home? We'll just start causing trouble.
They're going to go nuts. No
Anyway,
kidding.
so the Legion was stood up after all the groups that came home and, trying to fight for rights and benefits and,
Okay.
fighting for the wounded to get better treatment, all that jazz. And So I was there. I was invited by what they call Dominion Command,
Right.
which is like Legion head office.
Okay.
And each Legion itself, it's kind of like, what do you want to call it? What's that? Franchise.
Okay. Yep.
And they each have their own little like board of executives. They each have their own little constitution. They each have, and I don't mean little like it's not a big deal. It's just like each branch has their own little rules, set of rules.
Yep.
But then there's like the rules that govern all of them from the head office.
Yep.
And it's kind of neat. It's kind of a neat little pyramid system, like most good chains of command. And they are losing members faster than they can recruit them.
Right.
Because people 50 and under tend to not really join the Legion.
Why is that?
That have served in uniform.
Okay.
There's a bunch of civilians, and you know, I won't debate the pluses or minuses of that here with you right now.
Right.
My reaction is that might have been a better idea to try and get more veterans than let in a bunch more civilians.
Right. Yep.
But well, we don't like I joined, but I was wounded.
Right.
And I know that I'm going to need advocacy when I'm older.
Right.
And the Legion is the only group recognized by the Queen and with a motion in Parliament and all that jazz, and is the first one let in the room whenever there's a veterans issue to talk about. Not as much anymore.
Okay.
But before 2006 especially.
Right.
But after that, like, they endorsed the new Veterans Charter, which a bunch of them say, well, no, we never did. You did. They did.
Okay.
I'm a member, and I can say it. But no one really knew what we were getting into, right? And their membership, which is mostly retired World War II, Korean, and, right into the 80s. But after that, into the 90s, veterans, like not a lot of us have joined.
Right. Okay.
And most of them, right, they're a little older, not a lot of wartime injuries. So to them, some of the changes made a little bit of sense.
Right.
And they didn't have anyone from my generation really to speak up. So they were like, yeah, it seems all right. But anyone in a modern veteran sense, which is what we're called, would have said no.
Right. Okay.
Because we just get a check for $250,000.
Right.
And then we get other benefits from VAC. I'll have my medical stuff paid for most of my life. But it was written basically it started under Chrétien, was finished under Martin, and it was implemented by Harper. But the whole idea was, let's get veterans off the books.
Okay.
And I think part of the thinking was, we already have old age security. We already have universal health care. We have all these programs that cover the social welfare of the citizen, right?
Yep.
Canadian Pension Plan, CPP. But the big part that is forgotten in writing it and saying, well, we can just, end their benefits at 65 because CPP and old age security
Those things would
and
take
OHIP
over.
can take care of stuff. Well, the not so great pay and the long hours away from home and the going overseas for 6 to 12 months at a time, all that was kind of made up for by the fact that you got a pretty good pension.
Right.
Like, it's not amazing, but it's pretty decent.
Yep.
And back before Chrétien, or maybe it was true to I don't know the exact dates, but like they took away free housing.
Right.
They took away free food. They stopped allowing family members to use the base medical centers, stuff like that. It was all cost cutting, and I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was the kind of stuff that kind of made up for all the stuff I mentioned before.
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, you don't pay me a ton, but I don't got to pay rent. So no big deal.
Yeah.
You don't pay me a lot, but I have a unit mess that I can go to and drink $1 beers.
Right.
You don't pay me a lot, but I don't need a car because I live right next to where I work.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
So
Or we used to be
evened out a little.
Used to be able to ride for free on the Greyhounds and the Via.
Right.
But all that went away.
Okay.
Suddenly you're paying housing, rent, you're paying I lived in the barracks in Petawawa for the first half of my career, roughly. No. How long did I live there? 97 to 2001. And, it wasn't a lot of money.
Yep.
But it wasn't a lot of apartment. It was a room with a
Right.
shared bathroom.
Yeah.
And if you were unlucky enough, you had like a double room,
Right.
which is the size of, which was smaller than the office that I sit in now at City Hall.
Right.
And you had a closet for your stuff.
Yep.
And a bed.
Okay. Very basic.
Very basic. Yeah, there was like a shared kitchenette at the bottom. And then, like I said, a shared bathroom. And on either side of the hall, there could be 4 guys using the same pooper, shower, and double sink.
Right.
And then in the bottom of the quad or whatever you want, a mod, whatever you want to call it, because they were like stacked dorms basically.
Okay.
I've seen the same style of building at a few universities and colleges.
Right.
And which is probably where they got the same guy to design and build them, right?
Right.
And so like of course you're not going to pay market rent for that.
Yeah.
And then right next to us was the mess hall where you ate.
Right.
The kitchen. And you had to pay for the food. And the food was more per month than the rent for your apartment.
No way.
But anyway, my point is, like, when you're paying rent, you're paying for food and all this, like, that's when you start to add it up and go, well, wait a minute, like, why do what's in this for me, and what am I getting? And if you live in the barracks, you had to pay for the food for a while.
Right.
And then they changed that, and like immediately most of us stopped paying for food.
Of course.
Because, with the kitchenettes and all that, it was a little cheaper, and then you could just go there for the odd meal if you had to. And so anyway, all this to say that the military's deal with the government has kind of been lost, and we haven't had a leader in the military, in my opinion, that has been able to reiterate the whole give and take.
Right. Yep.
No one's soldiers to get rich, but that's the give and take.
Yes.
Like, yes, you can pay me $60,000 a year to work unlimited hours and at unlimited risk.
Yeah.
But, I get cheap housing and cheap, better health care. And not by better, I don't mean better than everybody else, but, maybe just a little bit more accessible.
But the right amount of access, yeah.
So yeah. Going on a little bit of a tear here, but, I'm at the point where with the new government, I'm trying to give them time, but I'm thinking, like, if that's what they really want, maybe we disband or, get rid of the Ministry of Veterans Affairs.
Right.
And we put all that money into D&D, the Department of National Defense.
Yep.
We're a small enough military. You give everybody a raise. Give the troops all a huge raise. Like, I'm talking like probably, pay us like cops and firefighters who all make, a basic cop right now in Ottawa. I believe a guy who's on probation, which I think probation is a year. He makes maybe $60,000 a year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a ton, but it's pretty good.
Yep.
But as soon as he's constable first class or whatever, I think that goes up to 85 or 90.
That's a good boost.
Plus overtime.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid hourly.
Right.
So it's the salary's based on the average work hours.
Right.
And then they get overtime, or if they work a little bit more. They have a union which represents them. They get collective bargaining. They get benefits based on that. Well, why don't we just do that with the whole military?
Right.
If you guys don't want to pay for us for the rest of our lives, pay us better so we can save more money.
So you could do it yourselves.
We'll put more money into a public pension plan,
Right.
as well, I guess, which we do anyway. But I don't know. To me, I keep trying to figure out the resistance to making things financially stable for me now that I got both legs blown off.
Right.
And I got buddies that have got way more gone, and we're all fighting for basically crumbs. When we have politicians, and I know I am one now, but I'm going to keep saying his name, Gilles Duceppe. Google him.
Right.
Gilles Duceppe, leader of the Bloc Québécois for years and years. His retirement pension from Canadian government after, I want to say 25 years, or maybe a little less, maybe a little more, for service to his country, $125,000 a year.
Right.
Pension.
Wow.
There ain't anybody leaving the military. I don't even think generals get that good a pension.
Right.
And if they do, well, they're generals.
Yeah.
But
Go
this
on.
is a guy who didn't sing "O Canada," refused to recognize the flag, stated mission in life was to break up the country,
Right.
happily accepted my Canadian dollar as payment,
Right.
still accepts it.
Yeah.
That's his reward.
Yeah.
And we got troops getting smashed overseas, which is great. We're all volunteers. I'm not saying anybody's getting hard done by in that respect.
Yep.
But then to turn around and say you must accept this deal because your government, us and the RCMP are the only ones they can do it to,
Right.
because neither of us have unions. The public service, all the people that work in Ottawa, they all get unionized contracts, union negotiated contracts. The parliamentarians don't get a union, but they vote on their own benefits.
Right.
So they get pretty great pensions.
Yeah.
And granted, most of them could make more money for less work if they stayed as lawyers or teachers or whatever, professors, whatever it is that they were. Sure. But the point that I'm trying to make is that, we do it willingly, king and country, queen and country. And we're not out to become millionaires, but if you don't want to take care of me after I'm wounded, or you want to just pay the minimum, and you have the smallest military Canada's ever had, pretty much.
Right.
Then maybe you just got to pay guys better.
Yeah.
And not worry about all these benefits. We'll just let the union negotiate it.
Right. Seems like there's lots of space for
I don't know. A guy working like a guy working at the sinkhole downtown.
Mm-hmm.
If a beam falls down, crushes both his legs, what's the payout from insurance and government and WSIB and whatever?
Right. Yeah. I bet it would be good.
I don't know, but I'm almost positive it's better than what a soldier gets when he gets wounded overseas.
Which is weird.
Well, it's weird, but
like I understand that the soldier has taken on that risk, that they understand that could happen.
Right, but they don't get the pay benefit.
Right.
You get guys laying concrete, which is, it's a bit of a dangerous job.
Yeah.
And I bet you they make as much as a guy in a gunfight.
Right. Which is weird.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
There's some time for some change.
It's just time to rethink the whole thing. Look, I'm fiercely loyal to my country. Mm-hmm. I would still soldier for my country. But would I let my kids?
Right.
At this point, I don't know. I mean, I would definitely make sure they understood 100% what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah. Do you think that that's going to be a big thing going forward, that now more of the, you call them modern vets, now that they're in this system and they see what's going on, do you think that there's going to be less people who want to volunteer?
What's already happening?
It's already happening. Okay.
Well, people say, "Oh, millennials don't want to soldier." No generation has ever been eager to soldier.
Right.
Back in the day, there was less economic prosperity, so it was easy. If the farm couldn't support enough people, when a kid was 16, you sent them off to the army, or you sent them off to the, I don't know, the church school, or you sent her off to nun school, or there was just places where people sent their kids once they couldn't afford to take care of them.
Right. Yeah.
And if you had more kids and you had land to give out when you died and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
And then, there was always the ability to join the military, but, and then a lot of armies were conscripted also back in the day. Canada traditionally hasn't been that eager to pay for an army.
Right.
When we were still a colony of Britain, it was like, well, why should we have an army? Britain will just fight for us.
Okay.
And then once the World War II was over, it was like, well, why should we have a big army? The States will just fight for us.
Right.
Not really thinking like, well, they might want to, with the Americans especially in the modern age, well, if we let them fight, like if they fight to take back, say, say, I don't know, let's say Russia comes in to BC.
Yeah.
Or China. I don't know.
Right.
Like, let's just say far-fetched as it could be today, in 50 years, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
If they are the ones who push them out, guess what they're going to do? They're going to be sticking around for a while.
Yeah. Oh, we like this
What's
area.
this, Victoria Island? So we're just going to go ahead and set up a naval base right here.
Yeah, we like
and
that island.
we're going to put an airfield up here. What's this, Comox?
Yeah.
They did it after World War II.
Right.
There's reports of Canadian I don't know what they call them, wildlife and fisheries and conservation officers.
Okay.
Today they're like conservation cops, but I think back then they were just like park rangers or something.
Right. Okay.
Like driving through random areas of Crown land, and they'd be like, "Oh, what's that plane doing?" And there'd be like a plane coming and landing, and
Right.
there's at least one report that I remember reading in like Maclean's or Reader's Digest. And this guy comes across an American air base that they just built in the middle of the BC wilderness or something crazy like that.
We'll just take this little spot.
Well, they just did it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you guys, this isn't cool?
Are you sure? Yeah.
Well, we talked to Bob, and he said it was cool. We just set up an air base here. I mean, no? So you want us to... Like, it was a big deal.
Yeah,
because Canada was so big.
deal.
And, after World War II, still, we only had, 16 million people.
Right, yeah.
If that. And so we had all this land. America had all these planes, and they were all worried about Russian aggression and blah, blah, blah. And they just started setting up air bases in remote Canadian areas.
Right.
Without asking permission. It was pretty funny to read.
Yeah,
but
that's wild.
So American in the 50s and so Canadian in the 50s to be like, hey, how about you don't do that, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, and the Americans are like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Right.
You're going to buy our jets, though, right? You're going to buy our jets.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of course
yeah.
we'll take
You don't
those
need that
jets.
Aero thing, do you?
Nah,
We'll
scrap
just buy your jets. Don't worry about it.
It's not that good.
Tell you what, we'll buy your jets. You don't build air bases on our land without talking to us about it first.
Yeah.
Cool? Okay, cool.
Just drop me a memo.
Man, we just went off on a tangent, eh?
Oh, big time.
Anyway, you know what? We're talking about it. Yeah, so anyway, we had 9, when I first got told after I was wounded, Jody, you don't get a lifetime pension.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be you got a monthly pension for your, whatever level to your wound.
Right.
For life.
Right.
And I have buddies that they get $100 a month for losing like a baby toe.
Right.
Up to $4,500 for losing both legs.
Right.
And even like the new system, I mean, once you hit 100%, it's 100%. So you could be missing all 4 arms. It's $4,500.
Right.
Or not arms, but all 4 limbs.
Yep.
I mean, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's half of what Mr. Giuseppe gets for trying to break apart the country.
Yeah.
And, if that's, the bureaucrats are like, well, the veteran should go back into work and blah. Like, no, he shouldn't. Doing what?
Yeah.
What's he going to do, like type with his mouth?
Yeah.
No. If a guy has all 4 limbs blown off or a girl, I think they've earned the right to collect a check and sit on the couch and play with their kids and watch movies for the rest of their life if that's what they want to do.
That sounds right.
Anyway, so I'm just saying, so we had 9 years under the old government. Because when I first got told, I was like, oh, they're going to change it. They're going to know that this ain't cool.
Right.
Because I told them.
Yeah.
This is when they hand me the check. I'm like, this ain't cool. Every guy I know that's been handed a check says, not cool.
Right.
Especially those of us that had to leave the military.
Yeah.
If you can finish your military career, sure, I'll take a check. Wait, what'd you lose, a thumb? Yeah, here's $10,000.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yep.
And carry on with your career. And
Yep.
it sucks. You're missing a thumb, but you got a cool party trick, I guess, you can do.
Oh, for sure.
And a good story about how you lost it, hopefully. and you get you buy yourself a new boat or some fishing rods or whatever it is you do.
Yep.
And you carry on and you get your pension at the end of your military career.
Yeah.
But those of us that have to leave the military, you better pay up.
Right.
My whole plan in life was to retire, collect my pension, and live my life.
Yeah.
I have to work. I'm over 100% disabled on paper.
Right. Wow.
Without my prosthetics, I'm in a wheelchair. If I'm in a wheelchair, I'm really dependent on Alana or, the system.
Yep.
I got to take, I can drive my car, but I have to have it specially modified.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. I don't have to have the Jeep modified if I got my legs on. But one day I might not be able to wear my legs.
Right. Yeah.
So my point is, and also, and my point is, when I signed the dotted line, it was, don't worry, you get smashed. Well, you got some cash. It's going to be fine. You can pay rent and feed yourself at least.
Right.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep.
So now they don't want to do that. Well, maybe it's time to get a union up in here.
Yeah. Time for change.
Time for some change. Or the new guys finally get their heads out of their asses. And I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm not trying to insult anybody.
Yep.
But we had 9 years of consultation under the Harper government about what veterans thought of this charter.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to give them the caveat that they have a few years to get everything in place that they want to do.
Yep.
So, but the pressure is the biggest number one complaint, and not even complaint, but beef with the new veterans charter is the lump sum payment.
Right.
And guess what's the one thing consistently that gets left off the let's change it list?
That lump sum payment.
The lump sum payment. It's always like, oh, we'll increase it a little bit here, and maybe we'll make it retroactive there. Oh, and we'll add another allowance that you have to do more paperwork to get, and, you'll never know from your case manager whether or not you got it. Blah, blah, blah.
It's not changing. Lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig. That's a good one. That's a good way of putting it. I don't know. Like, a lot of us are pretty upset about it. I've been upset about it from day one. It's the one thing, even when I was friends with the Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Yep.
The first day he got appointed, it was Aaron O'Toole, still the MP for Durham region. Great guy. Lots of respect. He took me to breakfast the day after he got appointed minister. He's like, Jody, what do you think? I'm like, hey, man, big congrats. He goes, so what should I do first? I'm like, get rid of that stupid lump sum payment and give me my lifetime medical pension like I thought I would get.
Yeah.
He's like, oh. Well, if I can't do that, what else can I do for you? I'm like, if you can't do anything else, do that.
Right.
That's the one thing. Because the new charter has some good stuff in it.
Okay.
You can get some retraining for school, and you get some benefits for mental therapy for life if you need it. You get, for me, I get. But there's also some terrible stuff. Like at 65, from what I understand, I lose all medical benefits from Veterans Affairs.
Probably when you would need it the most.
You think?
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
See, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, but I'll be 65 and my body's not as good as it was when I was 30.
That's right.
And I lose my my financial allowances, and I have to go on old age security and Canadian pension plan.
Right.
So my income gets dropped as well when my needs are going to go up.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And there's not that many of us. That's the part that kills me.
Right.
We're not talking about World War II where hundreds of thousands of guys are coming home going, gimme, gimme.
That's right. That's right.
And tens of thousands are coming home missing legs and arms and broken backs.
Yeah.
I think there were 60,000 wounded or something crazy in World War II. We're talking like a couple hundred guys here in the modern age.
Yeah.
One good thing about an all-volunteer army that's well-equipped, which we are, our army is, our Navy,
Right.
Air Force, getting a little strained, but
not so much.
You don't get as many casualties.
Right.
You don't need as many troops to do the same thing.
Okay. Yep.
Because we have sensors and stuff. So instead of placing a troop every 5 to 10 meters, you just put out some sensors and you can cover kilometers.
Right.
One sniper team can cover what used to take like a whole battalion.
Right. Yes.
Because of our scopes and our night vision and our radios. But my point is, there has to be a serious rethink here, because we're downsizing we continually downsize the size of the forces.
Yep.
Even like Harper wanted to make it bigger, or his government did, at least what they said. numbers continued to drop
Yep.
because they didn't say anything like, hey, go ahead and fix the recruiting system, which in my opinion, the Canadian Forces recruiting system is a big reason why we don't recruit as many people as we could.
Right. Okay.
Because it's terrible.
Yeah.
Bankers' hours.
Right.
Not an office. Like, you know, they don't travel. Like American recruiters, they'll like come to schools. They'll go to like job fairs. They'll like walk down the street and look at, hey, you got a job? You got a job. What do you do for your living? And they'll hand their cards out and be like, come on.
Okay.
Join the Marines. Join the Army. Join the Air Force.
Yeah, they're on it.
Well, they're serious about it. We're just kind of like, yeah. I remember when I was dating a girl who lived with me in Chalk River.
Right.
And it was, I think it was after, when was it? Anyway, it was like the early thousands.
Right.
And she was like, you know, there's no jobs in the area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why don't you join the Army? You could be, because she was trained for social work.
Okay.
I was like, you could be a social worker in the Army in uniform.
Yep.
You know, you're already trained, so they might even make you an officer,
Right.
which would be dope, because then I'd be dating an officer. It could have been a sugar mama for me.
Amazing.
Little bit. And she's like, yeah, okay, you know, why don't we go to the recruiting center? So I call the base operator, Petawawa.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, what office does the recruiter come to now? And she's like, oh, yeah, they stopped doing that.
Right.
I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah, the recruiters don't come to base or come to the Pembroke anymore.
Right. Yeah, we're full.
Actually, no,
We're
there
good.
was a
We're good.
Pembroke recruiting office as well when I first got there.
Right.
That got closed. Everything got moved to Ottawa on Slater Street,
Okay.
downtown. Not like it's a stone's throw from City Hall.
Yeah.
But back then, I didn't know this. I'm like, okay, well, Ottawa's like an hour and a half away. When do they come to? Do they come here once a month, maybe? Or they're like, no, you got to go to them.
You gotta go
I'm
there.
like, okay, right.
It's a huge barrier.
This is it. This is like, what am I talking? Like, I'm talking like 15 years ago almost.
Yeah.
Huge barrier. Oh, you don't have a car? Sorry, you got to work? Bummer.
Yeah. Mm.
You're in school? So I'm like, okay. So I call them expecting, I'm like, hey, so like what days are you open till like 8 or 9? They're like, oh no, we're open from 8 to 4, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't show up at noon because I'll be gone for lunch.
Right. Yeah. Noon's a bad time. Yikes.
So who do you expect to show up at your recruiting office Monday to Friday, 8 to 4? Don't come at lunch. So basically there's just 7 hours. Besides, like, what if someone's in school or works or, you know, whatever? They're like, well, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And it's still, as far as I know, it's the same.
Right.
They go to job fairs. They do certain things. But the hours, and they've even downgraded it more. The last thing I remember hearing was they were like, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have people apply online.
Right. Okay.
And I know everyone I know who has signed up for the forces that has told me a story. Oh, they lost my file.
Right.
Oh, by the time they got around to telling me I was accepted, I had already found a job.
Right. Okay.
Oh, but it's like, well, no wonder nobody joins, or so many people try to join and just the system just doesn't respond.
Right. Not good.
Anyway, why am I bagging on the military right now?
I don't know.
Sorry, guys, if you're listening and you're going like, geez, Jody, enough.
It
Just frustrates me, man, because we
sure.
could have such a great system.
Yeah.
You know, we'd have an amazing military full of guys and girls that just want to do their best job. And we put all these barriers in place. And then we lose a lot of people as well because of universality of service. And don't get me started on that. And, you know, we just have a whole lot of patriots that want to do a good job for their country. And we make it really hard for them to do it. We don't pay them a lot of money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why they leave bitter and pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that hard to figure out.
No kidding.
So I think I was talking about the downsizing of the forces, actually.
Yeah. And
But anyway,
it
my
started
point
with
is
the
we're
Legion.
down to less than 70,000 regular army or regular military.
Right.
That's a totally unionizable size of workforce.
Right. It should
Take out the
happen.
officers because they're management,
Yep.
and now you're down to probably less than 50,000
There you go.
because we're a very top-heavy military. What you saying? Let's do it.
We'll do it right now.
I'll write you a check.
Okay.
Come on, what's that going to be? Like $3 billion? There you go.
Ish.
Anyway, I don't know, man. Like, it's just there's a lot of going on, and I expected a little bit more of reaction from the new government. But again, you got to give them the time to get their shit to. Oh, I just swore.
This guy.
So we got to put the little E next to the podcast.
Gotta put the E on it.
Anyway, bleep that out.
That's right.
Blah, blah, blah. I love Canada. Love the Army. Hated the military. Love the troops. Support the troops. What do you want to talk about? Man, that was a long rant, eh?
Well, yeah, ish. But I mean, it's all good stuff, and it's stuff that a lot of people are dealing with, right? So,
yeah. And it all started with me talking about being in Newfoundland, St. Johns, Newfoundland, for the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion Command Convention.
That's right.
That happens every 2 years. They elected a new president.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck to him. Guess what happened though?
Tell me.
When I was there, ran into Rick Mercer.
Yeah, cool.
Him and I have been like,
he's a funny dude.
We've been like not buddies, but we've been like buddies of buddy.
Okay.
We have mutual buddies.
Yeah.
That always tell us like, oh, hey, you guys got to hang out, and like, I'd hear like, oh, Rick really wants to meet you, and this and that.
Yep.
And we did meet once in Spurwangar in the Panjwai Valley of Afghanistan.
Right.
And I tried to get him to come up to the sniper position, and his bodyguards, and he was like,
not having it.
They were like,
no
where
thanks.
exactly is? Oh, it's the most exposed spot, and you guys get shot at now and then. Yeah,
right.
we're cool.
We're
cool.
We're gonna hold off on that. I'll get the
and
next
he
one.
actually remembers it. He's like, oh, that was you. You had a beard, and you were all covered in dirt.
Right.
And I'm like, well, yeah, it was. We've been in the field for 3 months,
laying on the ground all day.
And so anyway, but he was in the hotel lobby Sunday night, Monday night. The Legion gave him some kind of award for always being there to support the Legion.
Okay.
And support the troops.
Right on.
And he does. And he and I didn't realize he was there because I was signing copies of my book Unflinching: The Making of a Canadian Sniper,
right,
by Simon & Schuster, available at Chapters, Indigo, Amazon, Costco,
yes,
Shoppers Drug Mart,
there you go,
Walmart, and many independent bookstores near you.
Cool.
Kindle, and what's the other one? Kobo? Kubu?
Yeah.
Kudu? Kudu's a phone. Kobo. I think it's Kobo. Hey, what's up, Kobo?
Yeah.
So we sold every single copy in St. Johns, Newfoundland.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. So dude brought like 100 copies to sell because I don't sell them. Like I can't. So the local bookseller heard I was coming.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, do you want to set up a book signing or something? And I'm like, yeah, it'd be awesome. The Royal Canadian Legion, awesome guys. They're like, hey, yeah, set it up at the convention. We're cool.
Right on.
And so, so the lineup was huge. He's like, he got there before me. He's like, dude, I've already sold half the books. Where you been?
Right.
And then everybody's lined up, so I'm signing books, taking pictures, and like they were just like gone. And then people are still running up, throwing money at us. We're like, we're all out of books. He went out, got every single copy he could find that day for like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Came back tomorrow morning, gone.
Very cool.
So I'm like, so is there any copies of the book left in the city of St. Johns, Newfoundland? He's like, no.
Right. So fire up the printers. Maybe more.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I did find out 10 copies
right
at the airport convenience store.
Aha.
No, actually, it was 8 copies. Sorry.
Okay.
On the shelf. So that's pretty cool. I thought it was very nice. And St. John's, I Instagrammed out a picture of me near their war memorial, which is in a really cool spot looking out at the harbor. St. John's, Newfoundland is just special.
Okay.
And that's what I wrote.
Yeah.
Because like, what else do you want to say?
Right.
It's full of these great people. It's in this spot that's had human habitation on it for, who knows if Vikings are probably there because it's a natural harbor.
Right.
And so Rick Mercer and we're hanging out, and anyone in the States or from outside Canada, Rick Mercer is like a national icon here. He's a big, he's a comedian, and he has a show called The Rick Mercer Report. It's pretty good. I highly recommend it. And so he says, and he's a little drunk when I found him.
Sure. Maybe a little bit.
And so he says, Jody, hey, great, buddy. So we're chatting, we're hanging out. And around midnight, he says, what do you say we get up and go up to Signal Hill in the morning?
Right.
If you don't know, Signal Hill is the spot where the first transatlantic wireless message was transmitted from and received.
Cool.
They transmitted to the spot in England, and it was transmitted back.
Right.
So I'm like, well, if you get up at 6 a.m., I will totally go with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, 6 a.m., I don't know. And I'm like, well, this is your idea. You're the one that has places to be and things to do, not me.
Right.
Like, I can sleep until 8, easy.
Yeah.
You know, go to the gym and still make it in time to sign books and do the meet with the Legion. He's like, no. I want you to see it. This is my town. I'm going to show you around. And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's pouring rain. So the next morning, I'm in the lobby, and I'm like, hey, he's not going to come. He stumbles out of the elevator. And so he's like, screw it. We went and got coffee, and we drove up to Signal Hill, and we sat there in the car.
Right.
Sipping coffee, chit-chatting, and like being like, yep, there's the outside.
There it is.
But you know what I realized while we were up there?
What's that?
Because there's a building up there on Signal Hill.
Right.
And have you ever been there?
No, never been there.
St. John's is a special place, but it's miserable with the weather.
Okay.
The people are what make it, and the landscape there is pretty unique as well. But in the way that it's built up as a town, right next to the harbor. Once you get past like the hills of the harbor, it kind of looks pretty normal. It's flatter and it has the normal neighborhoods. But down near the water, where the old original town is,
Yep.
it's pretty cool. And Rick actually showed me his first house he bought in 80 whatever for $19,000.
Right. Okay.
Downtown
Yeah.
St. John's, Newfoundland. So anyway, I'm looking at the building, and I go, who do you think had to carry all the rocks up here to build that thing?
Right.
And Rick's like, that's a good question, because why didn't they just make it out of bricks?
Yeah.
Like, this was, it was built in 18 whatever. And it's a hill that has always been occupied by military and this, that, and everything. And I'm looking at the building, and I go, wait a minute. This is where the first signal went across the ocean? That's Google headquarters. 1903 or whatever year it was.
Right.
That was one of the most advanced technological achievements of its time. That's like, whoever built that and came up with that, that's like the Steve Jobs
Right. Of
of
course.
the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right?
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, it's true. Huh. And it's just this little rock building.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, back then, like, if you said to someone, yeah, so we're going to wirelessly send a message across the ocean to England, they'd be like,
No.
No, you're not.
You're
just
lying.
like if Steve Jobs had said, like, yeah, in less than a decade, you're going to have a computer in your pocket with no buttons that is more powerful than every other computer ever that went into space, and you're going to use it to sext and look at people's crap on Twitter and take pictures of your kids nonstop.
Yeah.
He'd be like, what are you, crazy?
No, you're not.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was a pretty sweet trip, man.
Cool.
I love that town. Highly recommend it to anyone who wants to come visit Canada and to Canadians. A lot of us go to Mexico and the Caribbean, and I get it.
Yep.
It's nice and warm. You got some sweet beaches, but, visit Canada.
Yeah.
We got a massive country, and I've been to every province and every territory at least once.
That's cool.
Yeah, so now I just got to take the kids.
Right on.
So Alana and I are thinking about renting a RV.
Catherine and I talked about that like last summer.
But every time we talk about it and then Google how much it costs, we're like, oh, we could get like an all-inclusive month in Mexico at a top 5-star resort for that price.
They're not handing these things out, these RVs.
They're not. It's just not cheap at all.
Yeah. No.
And I mean, like, it might even be cheaper to rent like a van.
Yeah.
And do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
But then, it's a van.
Yeah. so that's limited too.
It might be cheaper to buy an RV and then sell it when you get back.
Right? Yes, maybe. We'll look.
I don't
into
know.
this.
The whole 1-800-GO-RV thing.
Right.
If that's a real company, I have no idea.
1-800-GO-RV. Hit us up for some RVs here. Take us
Yeah,
across the
we'll
country.
totally say cool things about you as soon as we get back from our trip.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know. I was just surprised by how much it costs to rent an RV.
Yeah, take the show on the
What are
road.
we at for time?
An hour exactly.
Oh, okay,
right
cool.
now.
You got anything else?
UFC's coming to Ottawa.
Oh,
You excited for that?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm so excited.
You're going, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was first in line to buy tickets.
bad, bro.
So I'm sports commissioner of the city.
Yeah.
I had a little bit to do with them coming to Ottawa.
Right.
I was basically the annoying little brother going, "Hey guys, hey guys, hey guys." When
Over
they
here,
turned
over here.
around, I got out of the way because then it was between them and the venues in town.
Okay.
But and also the UFC doesn't need they don't need your help.
Right. They've got
Right,
it.
Well,
They've got it covered.
in my gig, as sports commissioner, it's to bring sporting organizations to Ottawa for sports tourism and economic activity, right?
Right.
So, World Hockey Championship or World Youth Hockey, which is massive.
Yeah.
But, they're going to be like, well, we need a little bit of a tax break here. We need, a reimbursement on an arena there.
Right.
Things, it's one of those give and takes because, we'll give them that, but then the parents and the players and the tourists that come to watch the games will spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in the city.
That's going to bring a lot in.
So the UFC, though, they don't need any of that. They're worth $1 billion, I think, something crazy like that. So the company's fine.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, you guys want any tax or not tax, but you guys want a little an exemption on your advertisement? And they're like, what?
No.
We got $10,000 we can give you. They're like, huh?
What's that?
$10,000.
What's
They're just
$10,000?
the guy's wiping his nose with a $10,000 bill. What? Sorry, what?
Yeah. He just spent that on lunch.
Yeah. So they don't need any help, and even the venue, so they're going to Lansdowne. So the guys that run it, I ran into one of them today. I'm like, so how much involvement have you guys had in organizing this for them? And they're like, they just tell us what they're doing.
Right. Stay out of the way.
He's like, they'll be like, make sure this place is free for us on that day, and don't worry, we're going to pay you.
Right.
And then a check comes in the mail, and they're like, okay, we better
They just bring
better
all
get everything
their
out of the
own
way.
People. Yeah.
They have all their own people. They've hired all the they get people come in from the local martial arts community and help them out and
Right.
blah blah blah. So Lansdowne Park is the place to be this week.
Right. Cool.
And then so the fights are Saturday night. It's not like a stacked card. I don't really know a lot of the fighters except the two main events. So the co-main event is Patrick the Predator Cote versus Cowboy Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
Yep.
I don't even know. I mean, Cote's been retired for a while,
Right.
but he's an ex-Army infantry guy, so of course I'm rooting for him.
Yep.
And he's a veteran of peacekeeping, and he fought for the title against Anderson Silva until his knee blew out, and you can see it in the video.
Right.
If they slow it down, you can see the tendon on the outside of his knee, it just kind of it's not there, and then boom, it's there, full view.
Yeah.
And he drops like he's been hit by a sniper.
Of course.
And then later on, it's an old Army injury, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you know? What's that? There's a meme that goes around what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Unless you're infantry, then it's probably arthritis that you're feeling.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Of course.
So I don't know what's going to happen because he has Cote has that. He's both hands. He can knock you into next week.
Yep.
Just send you flying. But Donald Cerrone doesn't stand still long enough for you to get a hold of him.
That's right.
And once he does stand still, though, he's banging.
Yeah, that.
He's gonna get right in the middle of the ring with you, and he's gonna basically it's like a gunfight in an elevator at that point.
I think both these guys will be swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
This isn't going to be like a jiu-jitsu match on the ground.
No,
holds and submissions. These guys are just going to bang.
There might be a little bit of trying to hold someone up against the fence for a second.
Sure.
But it's going to be all in setting up for the big right hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if I had to call it, I ain't betting against Pat Cote because he's one of us. But if I was betting money, I'd probably be putting it on Donald Cerrone.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's not. He's always busy.
Right.
He just fought 6 months ago.
He takes a ton of fights. No, even sooner than that. I think
he just
takes
lost.
a ton of
Didn't he
fights.
just lose to Nick? Not Nick.
He did have a recent loss, but I think since then, I think he's won one fight since that loss.
Since the loss,
I think so.
Against one of the brothers. Oh my God, why am I follow them both on Instagram. The guy who just beat Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah.
Not Nick. Nate Diaz. Didn't he just lose to Nate Diaz?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, I don't want to Google it right now. I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
And then we got Rory McDonald versus
Wonderboy
Thompson.
Yeah.
Again, that one, I don't know who to. I'm betting for Rory because he's Canadian.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as I'm willing to talk about it because they're both awesome. But we haven't seen Rory since he lost to Robbie Lawler in this tight fight for the title.
Right.
And Lawler
he took some damage. So
he looked worse than any fighter I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
I guess his nose was just completely destroyed. Did you see the punch that dropped him in that fight?
Yes.
So they both were just destroying each other. Bang, 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 bang. But Lawler was getting the better. He was giving out the better damage.
Yep.
Rory, though, machine, total warrior. But he got that one last punch from Lawler right square in the nose.
And it takes one.
And he took, it was a pause, 2, 3, and then you just see his whole, he couldn't take it. The pain was just too much for him.
Awful.
So it was a TKO, technical knockout. But then he, later on, he's texting or tweeting out, the best feeling I've ever had in my whole life.
Right, yeah.
So if I had to guess, I'd say Rory's going to come back ready to avenge that loss and get that next title shot.
Right.
So I'd bet on him.
I like that.
Yeah. But other than that, the rest of the card, people even I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not as much a super fan as I used to be.
Yeah.
I'm still a mega. What's bigger, mega or super?
I think mega would be bigger than super.
I'm still a super fan then.
Okay.
But I'm not a mega fan who goes through everyone's stats and reads up on all the new guys anymore.
No, I would have no idea.
I got kids now.
Yeah.
There's
There's a lot going on.
I'm a city councilor now. I'm actually more active because my legs aren't as sore as they used to be. So yeah, but I still follow it enough to know who's who in the zoo. Yeah. To a point. But,
I like it more now that I've gotten into a little bit of the jujitsus, and now I can notice more things, and I have an idea, more of an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right? Because before it was just watching two dudes fight, but now that I've kind of gotten into things a little bit more, it's more interesting to me now.
I went and saw what's called the Eddie Bravo Invitational. I think I told you about that when I was in LA last time.
Yep.
So Tate Fletcher from Pirate Life Radio podcast as well as Caveman Coffee. If you watch the last Jurassic Park, he's the guy. He's a stuntman in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who shoots the flying dinosaur out of the helicopter.
Right.
He shoots out of the helicopter.
Yeah.
That's my man Tate. So he took me to the Eddie Bravo Invitational. Hit him up on Instagram and Twitter. I think it's Tate Fletcher.
I think it's Tate Fletcher.
It used to be Tadius Maximus, but I think he's down to Tate Fletcher.
Yeah, correct.
And he takes me to the Eddie Bravo Invitational, which is a no-gi, pure jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mesmerized. I was like, this is real jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was after I got home, and girls are taking jiu-jitsu, period.
These guys are incredible.
But you see the actual integral, the intricate work that goes into getting a position in just pure jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you got to modify it when there's someone's dropping elbows and fists on your face.
Yeah.
Whatever. But pure straight jiu-jitsu, no gi, is just, it's artwork.
Yeah,
It's all artwork, but it's just
yes.
another kind of art.
There's such a flow to it when you see someone who is well versed in jiu-jitsu, there is they look relaxed as they're going through the movements. There's a flow to it.
Yeah. And you realize that there's lots of people just walking down the sidewalk that could kill you.
Yeah.
Without even breaking a sweat.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
big time.
And I'm talking like me.
Yeah.
The guy who I got a little bit of hand-to-hand combat training that I haven't practiced since I got blowed up.
Right.
And, and you wonder how many of these guys get they get the chest bumps happen in the bar and they just got to take a breath.
Right.
And smile and know well, if something bad happens, you're going to sleep.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons I want my daughters doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because there's no punching, there's no kicking, there's no fat lips, there's no bloody noses, there's no black eyes. I'm going to get a call that my daughter put some kid to sleep that was trying to hurt her.
Right.
So the worst thing that happened here, somebody had a nap?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that it was job well done.
Perfect. Success. Check mark.
Kid's still alive, right?
Yep.
Still fully brain functional?
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and say we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But when they're a little older and they know how to understand how to hold their ground, then I'll let them learn how to strike.
Right.
But yeah, man, I don't know. For me, watching that was amazing. And then now, I want to try now, especially now that you're doing it.
That's right, man.
But I can't do it till after the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's bad enough. I'm a little behind where Nick wants me.
I think dividing your time with something else.
Well, no, you got hurt within a couple weeks.
Yeah, but that's not, but that's different. I've separated that shoulder 3 other times in the past.
I can't afford to do any separating of anything.
Yeah.
Except for the body fat from my body at this point.
Yes.
That's all the separation I'm allowed.
I totally agree
But
that
Nick,
you should just focus on that.
Nick took a look at my pics and he's like, "Oh, a little behind there."
Okay. Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Yes, sir."
Right.
And then so he sent me a message today. What's Nick's handle anyway? We should give him some more props.
It's Nick Terrio 76, I think, on the Instagrams.
Let's take a quick look here for our boy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's it. What have we got?
I'm not getting anything. Is he off Instagram?
That seems impossible and crazy talk.
Oh dear. Did we miss something?
You finally lost control.
I'm not seeing him. He does that sometimes though. He'll completely unplug from stuff.
Right. Well, maybe. Well,
I got Nick the Tooth.
Right. Maybe that's what's happened.
TheRa.
Yeah.
Is that how you spell his last name? It's Francais, so I never. Oh wait, people. The listeners right now are just like, we don't care.
They're like, what the hell?
Stop
is going
looking
on?
for his.
We're just going deep into this, trying to figure it all out. Yeah, I don't see it either, man. I don't see it either.
This is weird.
Well, maybe we'll get that straightened out and then get back to you on that.
Yeah, guys, we'll get back to you on that. I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, yeah, he sent me a text. I was at the mall with my youngest daughter. I had to get the band on one of my watches fixed.
Right.
And he sends me this text. He's like, so just so you know, today's the. Oh, actually, let me read it to you. It's hilarious. It gave me chills down my spine. Actually.
Ooh.
Where is it? It's like K, but like the letter K.
Right.
Today is the last day you can enjoy your normal life. I have emailed you your meal plan. I need you, as of tomorrow, without fail, eat according to the plan. Don't miss your workouts. Because I can hear him speaking, right?
Yeah.
Also, meet me Monday, gym, pics. I need pictures of you. And I'm like, pictures are the shame of my life. My body is so puny. But yeah, I saw that. I was like, yes.
Yeah, man. It's time.
I get pumped up.
It's good.
You know, but I've missed too many days in the gym lately. You know, I've only gotten like half my workouts in, and I can notice it.
Yep.
like you've seen me pretty consistently. You
bet.
must have noticed the last week or two, like it's not as good as it was.
There's some changes.
Yeah, but I'm still losing weight, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not packing on as much muscle as I should be. And I
Right.
should say, no, I memeasured myself when I got here. I actually
That's
haven't
right.
changed in weight.
Yeah.
But everybody says, "Yo, man, look how skinny you are."
For
How
sure,
fat
you're
was I?
well, hey, man.
No. Okay, I mean,
it was.
and by no means was I fat,
No.
but I was definitely a little chubby.
Yeah. Yeah. Things got a little soft around the edges there for a while.
Little.
Well, maybe a lot softer around the edges.
Man, I was like a half inflated tire.
Yeah.
I was like all like bubbly and like a big, when they bulge out and you see a car drive by,
Yeah.
like, oh, that tire's low.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like sticking out.
But you're on the right track now.
Well, I told you how I had to get custom shirts made, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I went there today because I put on one of my old suits this morning because the mayor's father passed.
Right.
Veteran. He was in the Second World War. Really good guy. But anyway, so I put that on to go to the wake. And I'm like, wow, the suit barely fits me. Like the shoulders are too small. The waist is too big. It's just, that's it.
Done.
So I went to the wake, walked up to the place, which is downtown Ottawa, called Sure Measure. If you go there, talk to Mathieu. That's my guy.
Right.
And I'm like, that's it. I need a suit. And he's like, okay, well, which one? So I pick out the fabric. He takes all the measurements.
Yep.
He's like, don't worry, it'll be 3 to 6 weeks. The shirts came. They said the same thing about the shirts, but the shirts came in less than a month,
Okay. Right. On.
and they fit me perfectly.
Beautiful.
Perfectly. It's awesome. They put my initials in the cuff.
Super cool.
There's like a custom like inside the when you get that different pattern in the collar and on the cuff.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I did all that as much as a shirt off the rack at like a store, like a designer, like Calvin Klein shirt.
Yeah.
Which has all these frayed things. Buttons are falling off.
Yeah.
It's never long enough in the torso for me.
And then it's too wide in the waist.
It's too big because I got to get an extra large.
Yep.
So it's like a parachute around the middle, too short in the arms.
Yeah.
So I hate it. Anyway, why am I talking about this?
Because you're talking about changing in size, like leaning.
Yeah, but
down
I'm the same weight.
Yeah.
Is I guess my point. And you you
okay.
reminded me, muscle weighs more than fat.
Yeah, man.
Does muscle actually weigh more than fat?
Well, like,
or is it like
here's
the
what's going-
space it takes up?
Like, here's what's going on. Like, yes, but like muscle.
Because I've seen that
tissue,
stupid
like,
little thing that they have at like some doctor's offices.
Yeah.
Where they
well,
show
like,
a pound of muscle versus a pound of fat, and the fat is like this big blob, and the
Right.
muscle's like a little square. It looks
So-
like a little steak.
Yeah, so like it's like hard and dense, and it takes up less space, right?
Right.
So
Go on.
and you're not actually like people say, oh, I'm changing my fat into muscle. Like that doesn't actually happen. You're shrinking.
Your fat just gets burned
cells,
off, right?
Yeah, like you're emptying fat cells and shrinking them down and
Because your
building lean muscle tissue. So
Oh, here we go. This is the first coach's corner.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
So educate me. So I kind of get it. Like I've been working out since I was 16, but I've always been under the impression because fat is your body's fuel reserve,
yes,
right? We just overstock the wood pile.
yes,
Is how
correct.
I like to think about it.
Yes.
But when you're burning fat, that's energy.
Mm-hmm.
But your body doesn't actually transform any of that fat into anything else. It's just
No.
straight up calories being burned.
Exactly.
So I asked Nick about the ketosis is the new Atkins, which was the new whatever, which was the whatever, right? You
Yep.
know, it's all the same thing, but just with new words. So he doesn't like the whole ketosis thing.
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't like it,
Yep.
but they were they're huge. Like Nick is huge,
Yeah.
and so is Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
I want to be physique.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, now I'm going to do what Nick says.
Yep.
Do you think ketosis is good or bad to build muscle?
I think
Or not bad, but is it not like optimum to build muscle and still be active?
no, I think that you can.
So what am I building it with if I'm like just the protein I'm taking in?
Yeah, like I mean, like proteins and fats are all gonna help you like get the work done. That's
So the
necessary.
fat's the fuel, because
Yeah.
they always say that you want to make sure you get a little bit of carbs and all that to feed your workout, because that's the bodybuilder mentality.
Right.
But what you're saying is the coconut oil, the olive oil, the butter, whatever, that is your energy.
So that becomes the
but
fuel.
you need to take in enough cheese and meat,
right,
and all that, and fruit and all that, or not fruit, vegetables, in order to build. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like your body will use the fat as fuel only in the absence of the carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates are easier to burn.
Right,
so
right.
your body
Okay.
will choose to do that.
So I guess what I'm asking, though, is do you want your body burning that fat while you're still trying to build a lot of muscle? Or do you want it to worry about building muscle and not so much about fat?
I think that it's doable. You'll find people with success on both sides of you have to have
Nick
carbs
is
in
successful.
it, or you. Yeah.
Schwarzenegger was successful.
Oh, yeah,
Clearly, they
like,
do something right.
It definitely works, but I think you can make it work either way. It's not one way's 100% right and the other way's 100% wrong, or else we'd all be doing the same thing, right?
No, I know. Well, I mean, it all works.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, I think we chatted about this on the first podcast, or maybe anyway, but they clearly do something right.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, like, ketosis is a great idea if you're just an athlete and you're not looking to build muscle, but you're maybe like just looking to be fitter and leaner. But you want those carbs there to help you build the mass that you need.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, you know, you could say, well, the body's natural tendencies. Well, we're not really worried about the natural tendencies of the body in bodybuilding.
Right.
We're trying to make something new.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Phil Heath.
Yeah.
There's nothing natural. I mean, let's just, even if he never took steroids,
Yep.
if he managed to get that big on horse meat and eggs,
Right.
there's nothing natural.
No.
There's no natural, you couldn't sustain that as a caveman.
No.
You'd be eating wildebeest all day.
That's right.
You'd
That's
just be
right.
like, nom, 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 nom. You'd need to like pay hunters to just constantly bring you food.
For sure.
So I do see like the argument that, well, yeah, you want to fuel, because that's what Nick says, and that's what it says in like the Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. You need to fuel the workout.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone I've talked to that's made it into pure ketosis, and it can take a day, or it can take a week.
Yeah.
It's tough to say. It depends on how much glycogen your body stores.
Yep.
Once you're in it, though, they say you have zero deficiencies for energy.
It's glorious.
It's a glorious cresting of the sun above the horizon.
That's right.
That's what it feels like. So I think, you know, I guess to try something new is better to wait till after your bodybuilding show, is probably what Nick thinks. 'Cause
Correct.
we're 20 weeks out as of this week.
Yeah.
As of Monday.
I would also say stick to the plan.
Yeah, right? So
Yeah,
anyway, but
stick to the plan.
I've been curious about ketosis without knowing it was called ketosis since Atkins came out.
Yeah. The first time I tried it was probably 12 or 13 years ago. I read a book called Underground Body Opus.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy was talking about. And I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and I definitely burned a lot of fat doing it. And it was good, and I felt really good doing it.
Why don't you explain a little bit to listeners while I go and empty my little girl bladder?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So as I was saying, the first time I tried a ketosis diet, it was 12 or 13 years ago. Underground Body Opus. I think it's written by Dan Duchesne, if I'm not mistaken. It has a ton of information in the book. I would have to review it again now to see if it's still spot on or if anything is dated about it. In this industry, things change so fast, and we always need to be updating ourselves on it. But I like doing a ketosis diet for myself. Not everyone feels the best on it. I find that with nutrition, it's always on a case-by-case basis. But the best thing to do is to try it out and see how it feels. You know, in the 80s, we went on a big rampage of taking the fats out of all of our food products because there was a study that was done with a relatively small amount of people, and they saw that in these people, fat was leading to heart disease and things like that, and it got blown out of proportion. And all of a sudden, that was taken as a complete truth that all fat has to be taken out because it leads to heart disease and everyone's dying from fats. So they took fats out of all of the foods and started replacing it with sugar, because when the fats aren't there, the food doesn't taste as good. Fat brings a lot of flavor into things, so they started to replace it with sugar to make it taste better, so people would actually still buy the products. And it was labeled as heart healthy and all these things, but the sugar in everything now has led us to where we are with all the metabolic syndrome that they call it, with people who are very overweight and have eaten themselves into diabetes. That's where taking out all that fat has brought us. And the saturated fat was kind of the one that took the biggest fall. But our body really needs saturated fats, and that's like you're going to get that from coconut oil, and you're going to get that from red meat and a number of other sources. The saturated fats, your brain runs on those things, and it's
Did
great.
You hear me doing my nose there?
Yeah, I heard
Did
that
I
for
interrupt
sure.
your saturated fats, little blah blah science thing?
Science nerd stuff? No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. So
Did I tell you I've had a bloody nose since 2006, right?
that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, totally fine. So as finishing up, I was talking about
You wrap it up. There's Bill Nye.
Yeah. So I don't want to go too Bill Nye on this. If you do want to get into all the sciencey nerd stuff on it, there is on the YouTubes. There's a talk that a UCLA professor did. It's about 3 hours long, super heavy on science.
Say I don't have 3 hours. Is there like a shorter version?
So here's the shorter version. Saturated fat isn't bad for you. It's good for you. It helps you to build your body's hormones. Your brain functions on it very, very well. Your lungs are covered in that type of oil, right? Like it is great for your body, but do inform yourself and do try it and see how you feel. But as Jody mentioned, it does take some time to get into that ketosis zone, to where your body can start burning that fat as fuel and start to feel good. And some people it's a few days, some people it's 10 days. But I do recommend it. I like it for myself. I feel the best when I have high fats, moderate protein, and little to no carbohydrates. What do you got, mister?
Are you done?
Yeah.
All I heard was science.
Nerd. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I took a chance to check my my Twitter real quick here, because I tweeted out that we were podcasting.
Yeah.
Listen, like, what is it with some people? So I put the picture up of us looking pretty awesome, putting our coffee cups together. Podcast number 5 is recording right now. Lots to talk about. We'll see where this goes.
Yep.
And someone who...
Are we talking about haters here?
I don't know what's going on, but... Anyway, their comment, it's Iggy. No, I shouldn't. Anyway, it says, at Jody Mitic, I'm guessing not too far.
Right.
But everything about their write-up says that they support us.
Right. Okay.
So that doesn't sound like a very supportive tweet.
Hey, man, that's not helping anybody.
Maybe it's like the curse, like there's no sarcasm font.
Right, maybe.
And
yes, that's true. That is your curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even said that after the shooting sharks in the face tweet. I'm like, I wish there was a sarcasm font.
Yeah, there should be. Yeah, like maybe with this person, they're being cheeky. What else is on the Twitters?
For us? For that? Everybody else just retweeted and liked it.
Right. Any questiones?
No. Nope. Well, hang on. Let me check Instagrams.
Okay.
Oh, we got a... Oh, damn. Dang-a-lang. So already 86 what-ups. Oh. Touche. I just got owned.
By what? You definitely need to explain this.
You know what's crazy? You've watched me drink a few beverages.
Yep.
My one pinky always goes up.
Right?
Well, my right pinky actually, I can't see how it...
Yeah.
It goes up on its own.
I'm looking at a very funky pinky.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, it got jammed when I was playing basketball.
Right,
And so it'll stay crooked like this when I do a flat hand. And then even if I put it into position, see how it
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
It's
Well, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not as bad as it used to be. It used to go like a complete reversal of the arch. It's still
definitely
line up,
weird.
right?
It's definitely weird.
It's definitely, yeah. So this knuckle got all smashed up when I was like 5.
Change that story to
So anyway,
war story.
At BK Youngus on Instagram says, "Pinky up, Jody,"
Right.
and he's right. Supposed to have pinky up,
Right. Indeed.
but check
Indeed.
this dude out.
That would have
Check this
improved
out.
the experience for sure.
We got a message from Hotei82, HOTEI82. He's a Brit living in Malaysia. Just wanted to say thank you for your continued service and for having the courage to share your inspirational story and bring much needed attention to veterans. Thoroughly enjoy your podcast, especially the ones where you didn't have a guest and it was just you and Luke shooting the tish. We haven't had a guest.
No.
We tried.
We attempted.
Oh, he texted me, eh?
Oh, yeah?
Did I tell you this?
No.
Okay, so he texts me and he's like, "Hey, all my friends want to know where they can see the podcast or listen to the podcast." And I'm like, "Yeah, listen, about that.
Mm-hmm.
I really want you to get your message out, but we got to talk."
Yeah.
So, I told him, like, you mentioned names and places and times and and I'm like, for me, I gave you the platform. If I put it out, then it's me that gets associated with it. If you had come in and we just debated why supervised injection sites aren't good, we could have done it.
Right.
Because that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out what the pros and cons were to supervised injection sites.
Yes.
Because in theory, being an ex-addict, now I never injected, now I snorted and chewed and overindulged in my pain meds. I mean, I never got around to injecting. It just seemed like a lot of work.
Right, yes.
And I just never did, right? I managed to not go down that rabbit hole. Who knows where I'd be if I had, right? So anyway, I was like, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Not everything that came up. Not
Yep.
that I don't mind a little deviation. Like, look at us.
Of
Like,
course.
we can't stay on one thought for longer than
No.
8 minutes.
Not even close.
So, yeah, anyway, so he was a bit disappointed, but he got it. So I appreciate that. And, I think for the future, maybe we'll sit down and we'll edit that bad boy.
Right.
As much as possible. Well, it's still for it to actually still make sense.
Right.
And then maybe we'll put it out.
Yeah, we'll see.
As like a separate,
Yeah.
like a standalone.
Yep.
I don't know.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So anyway, loving the love.
Yeah, of course. That's great. That's cool.
Amazing.
That's very cool.
A Brit in Malaysia listens to the Jody Mitic podcast.
Of course he does.
That's awesome.
And I was looking at the stats online.
Right.
And where people are listening, and it's all over the world. It's all over the world. There's big chunk, like the biggest chunks are the States, Canada, and Australia.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense because the most engaged countries for Afghanistan, well, Britain though. Australia's more like us though than Britain.
Yeah, that's true.
They say Australia and New Zealand, they have a little bit of a friendly rivalry like us in the States do.
Right. Okay.
And New Zealand's more Canadian, like they'd be the Canada of the South Pacific, and Australia is the America of the South Pacific.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of interesting, eh?
Yeah.
But you know what? Let's talk a little bit more military stuff for 5 seconds.
Let's do it.
I've been trying to figure this out, and I never really took the time to get deep into it. But Australia has a smaller population, and their dollar isn't worth as much as ours. Obviously, just mostly because of geography and available resources.
Right.
But it's still pretty strong, right? It's one of the stronger dollars in the world. They have more military resources for spending less money.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, not
they
really.
spend less than us and get more for it.
Oh, okay.
On their military.
Right.
They have jets, they have helicopters, ones that we can't have, or just don't have. Blah, 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 blah. So, and they got a pretty decent navy, because they're an island, right?
Yep.
They still have leftover fears from when Japan tried to invade during World War II.
Right.
Or threatened to anyway. They're constantly, going and doing peacekeeping around the Pacific Islands and stuff like that whenever there's a bit of a dust up. They were in Afghanistan. They're hard soldiers. They're good guys. Anyway, my point is I found out recently why they do that.
Go on.
They have a national, let's call it a national military committee.
Okay.
That's nonpartisan.
Right.
It is separate from the government.
Right.
It is equally represented by all parties.
Yep.
And it has and then it has individuals that sit on it, just like a transit committee for Ottawa.
Right.
There's politicians that sit on it, but there's also individuals, citizens from the city, and they apply, and you get selected based on your qualifications and your want, why do you want to be there, blah blah blah. So that gives the citizen input, not just the city manager and the politician.
Right. Very cool.
So anyway, they have this similar committee for their national defense strategy and spending.
Right.
So they don't there's no partisanship when it comes to buying a plane,
right,
like there is here.
Yeah.
You can't win an election promising to cancel a helicopter order like Chrétien did in 91.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you elect me and I'll cancel all this money that Mulroney was going to spend on helicopters that we need to save lives because they're search and rescue helicopters and not have them crash and kill troops.
Right.
I mean, that's not what Chrétien said, but that's basically what he said.
Right.
If you
Okay.
read between the lines.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so they just don't do that.
Right. I love it.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it would never work in Canada.
Right.
No, it would work really well, but it would never happen here.
Right.
Because our politics is based too much on partisanship, and it's the Americans call it pork barreling.
Okay.
Where, we have this thing in Canadian procurement law that says that so much percentage of something has to be built in Canada.
Okay. Right.
Australia doesn't care. What's the best thing we can buy, and where is it built? Okay, go ahead and send us a couple thousand of those.
Right.
Or a couple hundred, whatever they're buying. They don't care.
Right.
They're like, just whatever's best for the job that they can afford. But all it does when you do that is it adds cost. So, for example, there was this vehicle that was bought under the Kim Campbell, when Kim Campbell was Prime Minister. Might have been signed under Mulroney, but anyway, the vehicle, which is based on an Italian design, sucked. It was called the light LSVW, Light Supply Vehicle Wheeled.
Okay.
And
for sure could have came up with a cooler name.
And as soon as we got it, we hated it. It was never good for much. We've already replaced it. I think we got it in the 90s, and we replaced it by the early thousands, which is almost unheard of for equipment.
Right.
But one of the reasons why it sucked so bad is because to make it they built it in Kim Campbell's riding, I believe in BC.
Okay.
So you got all these people that have never put together cars before. Suddenly
right.
you got to take a plant, convert it, which that all adds to the cost. Because part of it is if you're spending Canadian tax dollars, it should be spent in the country.
Right.
Giving Canadians jobs.
Yeah.
Which makes sense unless you don't have any Canadians that know how to do the job that's required being done.
Yes.
And especially there, like all the car manufacturing we had was Southern Ontario.
Right.
And, and even Quebec. That's where all our manufacturing base was, Ontario and Quebec.
Yep.
I mean, maybe there was some out there, but from what I understand, it was like they took like an old shoe factory and converted it.
Right.
Or an old ship building place. They're like, yeah, you guys want to build cars today? And they're like,
okay.
I mean, if you're going to give us money, sure.
I guess.
But anyway, my point is, how amazing would it be if we could just get all that out of the way?
Yeah.
Because the last government, almost every procurement that was required for the military got screwed up.
Right.
Somehow. Through political meddling and the whole like, well, where's it going to be built and who's going to make money and which MP will get to sign, cut the ribbon and smile for the camera and get to walk around and say, hey, and all those great jobs, like I brought that to you.
Yeah.
Australia didn't know that. Hey, what do we need? Go buy it.
Sounds like some good old-fashioned common sense.
Yeah. Unless you're one of the people that's getting paid to build this stuff. And then it's like, well, hey, I'm glad that they do it this way because now I have a job.
Yeah, of course.
There's always a good argument the other way.
Definitely.
But some things just shouldn't be political.
That's right.
You want to talk about anything else right now? Are we done?
I think we might be
There's
done.
one thing you had written down here that... Okay, we don't need to talk about any of this. How long have we been going?
An hour 40.
An hour 40.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this clean meat real quick?
Sure, man.
Or do you want to save it for next time?
Let's save it. Let's save it because it can lead into
way too much.
A whole other dimension.
We're not at the 3-hour podcast late yet.
No.
I don't know if I ever want to be.
Maybe not.
I mean, I got to be up for the gym soon.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can't miss tomorrow, or Nick will literally probably walk to my house and physically rip my head off with his gorilla arms.
Yeah.
If he can find me.
That's right.
That's right. I might not have legs, but I'll run faster than his bodybuilding physique.
Of course.
He's huge lately. Have you seen him lately?
Maybe.
He's getting bigger somehow.
5 weeks ago, I saw him.
He's getting bigger.
Yeah. He's a mutant.
And he has no fat on him.
None.
I touched it. It was like, I did that to his abs. That was me knocking on his abs.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
That's an actual recording of when he knocked on his abs.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway. Genetic freak, that guy. This is awesome.
That's it.
Number 5 in the can, son.
5.
Is there anything we need to edit out of this one?
I don't think so.
We haven't edited a single minute yet.
Nothing.
Except for the whole episode that we just went ahead and didn't put up.
Yes. There's been 0 editing.
So, guys, this is Jody Mitic Podcast, episode 5. Once again, we're at Greco Orleans, one of the better workout places in Ottawa. They can do pretty much whatever you ask. Firehouse Coffee, Fire Haus on the Facebook. It's Firehouse Coffee Roasters.
Correct.
And go ahead and get yourself a website and a 1-800 number there, dog. But anyway, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming here, man.
Thank you.
Taking time away from your kids and all that.
They're sleeping.
So are mine.
It's
yeah,
late.
They were awake when I left the house, though.
Yeah?
I might have given the youngest a little bit of ice cream before bed.
Okay, see ya.
And then I'd be like, hey, Atlanta, go ahead and handle that. Adios, muchachos.
She'll still be up when you come home, doing laps around the basement.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. She likes hanging out with Daddy, so.
Right on.
She's my little buddy. Anyway, real quick, though.
Yep.
My oldest, Ayla, fell off the slide at school today. Got this big, scrape along the side of her face.
Yeah.
And I got all excited. I'm like, let me see it. She's like, why are you happy that I'm like, I'm not happy. Just that gives you character. And
Yeah. It's the cool factor.
And have I told you what I talked to her about when she asked me about why there's bad people in the world?
Briefly, we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know what? We're gonna be here another good 10 minutes, just so you're aware.
Let's
maybe not. But
let's lay it out.
So I don't hide anything from my kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they saw that an alligator took a 2-year-old at the same resort we were at last year. Right. not the exact same beach or spot or lagoon or whatever, but like we were in that general area,
Right.
walking next to the same water.
Yep.
You know, because it's a big pond. It's a man-made pond, but it's anyway. You know, why does that happen? And you know, why did that thing in Orlando happen? Which we didn't talk about, but we can talk about some other time. If you don't know, there's a mass killing in Orlando where some guy shot up a gay nightclub with the same kind of rifle the military and cops use.
Right.
He sounds like a prick to me, but everybody blames the tool.
Right.
I own one. I own a rifle like it. But anyway, and I always tell her there's bad guys.
Yep.
And she said, well, why is there bad guys? Because there is. And I said, but we're the good guys.
Yeah.
And she says, what do you mean? I said, we're the good guys. And we fight the bad guys. So she said, so when you and Mommy were overseas, or however she puts it, when you guys were fighting, because we've always called them the bad guys.
Right.
So when you and Mommy fought the bad guys, you were the good guys? And I'm like, that's right. And you always want to be on the side of the good guys.
Yeah.
And so now it's, you know, whenever something happens, I go, she'll say, why? And I'll just say, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'll give her the answer and I'll say, but what are we? And she'll go, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
So now we have this thing where we're like, you know,
Right on.
who's the good guys? We're the good guys.
Yeah. I like that.
And so when she had this scratch on her face, she said, why are you happy that I got like this? Because it's, you know, it's blood. She's like, it was bleeding. And it was like, and I'm like, yeah. She says, why are you happy about this? And it's just me and her in her room, and she was getting ready for soccer practice. And I said, because Ayla, to fight the bad guys, you got to be tough.
Right.
And the more you go through getting scraped up or bruised up or realizing that you're not as fragile as you think you are, you know, that makes you tough.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a good guy who fights bad guys, you got to be tough, because the bad guys, they're tough.
Right.
Hey, man, they're bad guys with Taliban. They're tough.
For sure.
You can say all you want about how cowardly ISIS is, but they're tough.
Yep.
And any bad guy you come across isn't going to be a pushover. It's not like in the movies where you punch the bully and he runs away because he's been stood up to. Most bullies actually will destroy you.
Right.
If you punch them.
Yeah.
Especially if they're bigger than you. I said, if you want to be a good guy who fights bad guys or stands up to bad guys, you got to be tough.
Right.
And every time you and your sister get a little scrape or a bruise, and you laugh it off, and daddy helps you laugh it off, because that's the other thing we do. Whenever they get hurt, I try and get them to laugh about it, because they'll be crying. I'll be like, what do we do about when we're hurt? We laugh at it. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
I said, if the good guys got to be tough.
Yep.
And what are we? We're the good guys.
I like it.
And yeah, you know, like when we were in Afghanistan, we called them bad guys, and we were the good guys.
Yeah.
We didn't call them any names.
Right. Yep.
You know, we know nothing racial, nothing religious. Like, it was nothing, you know, like, and don't get me wrong, some people do.
Sure.
But for the most part, it was, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. And they probably said the same thing, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
So let's end on that note. How about?
I like that good guy note.
If you're gonna raise kids, raise them to be good guys.
Absolutely.
And we want to be on the right side of history. We want to be we're the good guys.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line.
There it is.
Regardless of how you feel about guns or meat or whatever, gay versus straight, you know, like that whole thing in Orlando was brutal. And it was a big insult to anyone who was in the gay, homosexual, lesbian, bi, trans. Like, you know, there's so many labels now, but the point is, like, we should all be allowed to live our lives.
Absolutely.
And to me, it was less. I think it looks like we're talking about Orlando now.
Yeah, we're in it.
That incident, although, you know, there was I did a thing on Facebook about know the enemy and don't slouch, don't be slipping, because they're watching and they're not dumb. And if a few people were like, well, this is a huge affront to the gay community, and I'm like, what? I just think it's an affront to our society.
Right.
Yeah, because the person's thing was about, well, the gay community faces violence every day and this, that. And yeah, you know what? Everybody does.
Yes.
And yes, theirs might be a little bit more likely per capita because they're gay. but it's getting less and less and less. North America right now in this day and age, this second is one of the safest places on the planet ever.
Right.
You are less likely to be hurt by a fellow human being in North America than anywhere else in the world than at any given time ever.
Awesome.
And, like I was listening to Joe Rogan. He's like, Trump's slogan of "Make America Great Again." He's like, when did it ever suck? Right. This is the best it's ever been.
Right.
When was it even better than this?
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother podcast.
For sure it is.
But I was more insulted that some dick, you know what? I already swore once. Fuck it. Some fucking asshole who, from all intents and purposes, appears he was gay anyway, was so unwilling to accept who he was. Right. Never mind who anybody else wants to be and whose business is it of yours, what somebody else wants to do, that he would do that in our paradise on earth that we have in North America, for the most part. Don't get me wrong, we have our issues, and some people don't. Not everybody gets the same level of paradise. But to me, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. It was he assaulted gay people, but they're people to me.
Yeah.
And how dare you do that to my fellow man?
Yeah.
Period. Regardless of what color they are, or who they like to hold hands with.
Absolutely.
Just and to do it for someone like ISIS?
Right. Yeah.
Huh?
Say what?
That was where I got. And people try to turn it into a Muslim thing, and right now, again, in this day, in our point in history. Hey, man, I got a lot of Muslim friends. I got a lot of gay friends. I got a lot of whatever. No matter how you cut the pie, in 2016, extremist Islam is at war with us, period.
Right. Yes.
Because, somebody brought up Timothy McVeigh again. He killed more Americans than any Muslim has. And he's in jail.
Yeah.
And everyone like him is in jail.
Yeah.
And their time in the sun is over, or they're in the shadows right now.
Right.
And right now, the biggest threat to North American life, to human life, well, one of the biggest that we know of, that we are able to affect, is ISIS.
Yeah.
Daesh, as you should call them. Don't call them ISIS.
Right.
They're Daesh. And whether you like it or not, we had the asshole on Parliament Hill, who luckily only killed one soldier and shot a few other people. They shoot one or two other people. He shot one other person that I know of. Again, a security guard for Parliament Hill.
Yep.
Two of the people that you want getting shot in situations like that.
Right.
I don't want tourists, mothers and fathers and kids getting shot. So they are at war with us, period.
Yep.
Whether or not they represent Islam is irrelevant. What they represent or what they think they represent is 100% at war. It's like saying, to me, that's like saying, well, one Nazi doesn't represent the German people.
Right.
You're right. It doesn't. I'm part German. To this day, my cousins get called Nazis whenever they leave Germany.
Right.
Because they're German.
Yeah.
Well, Hitler didn't represent all of Germany.
That's right.
But actually he kind of did at that point in time. But my point, and the Nazi party wasn't every German.
Right.
But every German's Nazi.
Right.
In the eyes of the world.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, it's not a Muslim thing. It's something the Muslim part of the world, though, has to deal with.
Right.
And there's a little bit of spillover into our side part of the world.
Yep.
And we're over there trying to help them take care of it or keep it there, whatever you want to call it. But a few of them are going to get through.
Yep.
And we just gotta learn to deal with that. They are 100% at war with us, whether or not you want to admit it.
Right.
And if they manage to recruit some dum-dum over the internet who is repressing the fact that he's gay so hard that he snaps and kills gay people,
right.
Well, that's a win for them.
Yeah.
And it's a double win if we turn on each other.
True. Yep.
Should he have had access to an AR-15 style rifle? No. Clearly someone messed up along the line because he was under investigation by the FBI.
That's right.
big red flag. I'm going to say if someone did a proper background check.
Oh, yes.
Will background checks probably be modified and made a little bit more mandatory in Florida? I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants to be responsible for the next. But again, what if he had walked in there with a duffel bag full of bombs?
Right.
And just put it down in the middle of the dance floor and set it off.
Yeah.
The type, and people talk, well, what? It's an assault rifle. And I'm like, any rifle you're shooting at me with, in my opinion, is an assault rifle.
Yeah.
You could be shooting at me with a black powder musket from the Civil War. I'm going to feel pretty assaulted.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's
true.
You could be throwing bricks at me. Those are assault bricks.
Yeah. Yep.
Water balloons.
Yeah. It shouldn't matter. It's an attack.
But I get it. I get it why people don't understand these things. And it's a shitty analogy because you don't see people running over killing 50 people with their car at once.
Right.
Now, we've had some mass killings. Mass killing, I believe, is anything over 4 people.
Yeah.
So we've had a few mass killings with cars.
Right.
But nobody blames the car. Nobody says, oh, that guy had a 500 SL with a 600 horsepower V8.
That's right.
A kid with a brand new full G license could walk into the Chrysler dealership right now, if he has the money, and buy a 1,000 horsepower car.
Right.
I'm more scared of that than a guy getting an AR-15 assault rifle.
Right, yeah.
And I apologize for calling it an assault rifle. Assault rifle is like a made-up marketing term.
Right, okay.
Again, frankly. I was on the Evan Sullivan show talking a little bit about this. We were this close to signing off.
We were so close. So close.
In Canada, anyone listening outside Canada, we had a massacre at, what's the name of the school? The Polytechnique? I know it's something Polytechnique, and I apologize for not knowing the name. And it happened in the early 90s, and this guy, this terrible human being, went into a university classroom with a Mini 14 and shot only the women in the class.
Right.
I believe it was 14 women.
I don't know.
We should probably Google it. Anyway, I apologize. Google it. Polytechnique massacre. You'll see it. And it's what led to the national gun strategy or the national gun laws that we deal with here in Canada. And I say deal with because I think they're great in some spots and a little bit too much in others. But that's for another discussion. And I said this on the radio today. I said, you want to know something? Because Evan was talking about this rifle that the guy used.
Right.
I said, hey, we had our massacre, or the Polytechnique. That rifle that he used in that massacre in Canada is still non-restricted.
Right.
It's called a Mini 14.
Yeah.
It uses the same bullet and actually is loaded with the same magazine as an AR-15.
Right.
And it does the same damage and just as much a hurry, but it's not restricted in Canada because when they went through the catalog after it, politicians and bureaucrats did it. They didn't actually ask any weapons experts which ones, hey, if you could ban weapons, which one would you ban?
Right.
And it just looks like a hunting rifle. In the Canadian Tire catalog, which remember back then the Canadian Tire catalog was just full of guns.
That's right.
Yeah, I used to remember. I used to sit at my grandma's and be like, "Oh, I want that one.
Yeah,
I want that one."
That's true.
A Mini 14 with a wooden stock just looks like a hunting rifle,
right?
Without its magazine in.
Yeah.
But it has the same rate of fire, and it has the same caliber.
Yep.
As the AR-15.
Right.
It's called a Mini 14. It's based on the M14 that the American military had after Korea.
Right.
And it's mini because it's the rifle the military used was a 7.62 by 5.4 rifle. Anyway, that's calibers. We don't really need to talk about that. So to me, it's just it's the dichotomy of blaming the tool.
Yeah.
That the asshole decided to use.
Of course.
We can debate the requirement for this, that, or the other thing. But I'm a legal firearm owner, as are all of my friends.
Yep.
And in Canada, our restricted licensing laws mean that if the RCMP feels like I'm slipping or has any reason to believe that something could go down,
Yeah.
they can show up my door unannounced without a warrant, walk in, take my guns, no questions asked.
Right. You're done.
Even if they're properly locked up, but say I threatened you.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like if you, hey, Jody Mitic just said that he's going to blow my head off.
Right.
That's it. 3 cop cars are going to show up my house,
And come and snatch.
and they're going to say, they're going to knock on the door and be like, Mr. Mitic, we need you to come out with your hands up, and then we need you to give us the keys to your gun locker, and you can forget about ever owning guns again.
Right.
If I'm proven to be, but
Right.
for the meantime though, they're taking them.
Right. Yeah. They're gone.
And especially if I have a restricted license,
Right.
That means I can own pistols and I
Yep.
can own semi-automatic rifles.
Right.
Which is all, you know, if you want to call it an assault rifle, it's pretty much all it is. It's semi-automatic.
Right.
Which means every time you pull the trigger, it goes bang.
Yeah.
Actually, assault rifle, by the military industrial complex marketing terms, is a rifle that can go to full automatic.
Okay. Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So an AR-15, if you know what you're doing, could be modified to be fully automatic.
Right.
But you get caught with one, enjoy jail.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Canada, I think we have some decent laws, but to come back full circle on this, I'm just upset that we have individuals that feel the need or are so messed up mentally and not getting the help they need, or not being forced to get the help they need, or whatever you want to call it. Like whatever the solution is it to take away all the guns? No.
No.
Is it to put everyone in jail? No. But is there a happy medium we could probably figure out? Probably.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like, cause and again, the car analogy kind of sucks, but everybody knows how to use a car.
That's
So I
right.
think it kind of does work. Some states, in the States, you can buy like machine guns.
Right. Yeah.
And if you go anywhere but the range with them, it's illegal, but you can still have them.
Yeah.
And I think that's, there's some merit maybe to that, I guess. But if you have to have a graduated license to drive, why shouldn't you have a graduated license to own firearms?
Right.
Because somebody was talking to me today about, well, shouldn't we make, all weapons non-restricted? And I'm like, no. There's plenty of people I don't want having guns.
Right. Yes.
And, and I'm not even that smart. And if
Right.
I say that guy shouldn't have a gun, there should definitely be a process.
Yeah.
And if you pass the restricted firearms license, so that's where I think that, okay, well, that person, ex-military, ex-police, or current and serving military and police.
Yeah.
And if you're not any of those, maybe you were a security guard, maybe you were a conservation officer, anything that required the use of a firearm, I think once you clear the the background check, because even though I carried a weapon for 20 years as a job, I still had to have the background check.
Right.
Because who knows? I don't know what their criteria is. Maybe something I did in the military may have prevented me from owning weapons in civilian life.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah.
If you beat your kids or been charged with assault, something like that probably would actually prevent you from being allowed to own weapons.
I bet it would.
Or firearms, not weapons. Weapons is anything you decide to hit somebody with. But I lost my train of thought. Again.
I think we were going down the path that it's not the
So yeah, we shouldn't be able to buy AR-15s out of vending machines, and like you can in some states.
right.
But I don't think you need to take mine.
Right. Yeah.
I guess is my point at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And what we have to do is not attack each other over the actions of some prick.
For sure.
And you can debate it. Things are going to get heated, but it's not us versus us. It's us versus them.
Correct.
And we're the good guys.
Yeah.
Remember that. That's where we're going to sign off. That's it. I'm signing. Are we at 2 hours?
Yes, sir.
2 hours, 3 minutes, 46, 47, 48 seconds. We are the good guys. You know what? That's our new sign off.
That sounds right. I like
This is
it.
the Jody Mitic podcast from Greco Orleans with Firehouse Coffee signing off. We're the good guys signing off.